Hi everybody, here's the deal. I'm going to show everybody exactly what I do every spring to get my pond going. It's a lot of work, but I find it's worth it. This is my hobby. This is all I think about. So I'm going to take it through step by step, exactly what we do. This is the water that you see in there right now is from the winter runoff. I actually drain it in the fall right dry. So we get so much snow here, which just melted the other day. If I look around, I could point some more snow out to you in some corners, but and it's April 27th today. May long weekend is when we plant gardens around here. Otherwise you have a high risk of frost at night. So basically that's how I do my pond as well. So in the next 2 weeks I'll be draining it again, cleaning it all out, and I'll go through the whole thing, and I'm going to try to put most of it on video just to show you guys what my life is like for my pond. We have extremely cold winters up here in northern Alberta. We have lows of minus 45, we've seen minus 50 degrees Celsius before. That's pretty rare. But minus 40 is every winter, like not every day, but at least we get a week of it or so. Not all at once sometimes. Sometimes it's just a day here and there, minus 40, but we get it every year. I've never seen a year without minus 40 here. So the frost gets down pretty good. I got underground plumbing for this thing. I got 2 bottom drains in it, and it goes off to the filter system over there. Kind of follows this where the gravel meets the grass right here. There's underground plumbing that goes back there. But anyway, I got to always worry about that breaking in the wintertime because frost freezes down so deep. The pond isn't that deep. In order to make my filter system work properly, I couldn't go real deep in the pond unless I dug the filter system down deeper than it is even. It's already 4 feet down where it starts. So when the frost hits, I gotta worry about my 3-inch drains that go to the filter system busting because they're made of plastic. It's PVC pipe. So I have to put in some RV antifreeze into the lines. I put about 4 jugs, 2 in each one, and that seems to help quite a bit. Like 3, this is year 4 now. Looks like it held, hopefully. So over the next few days, I'm going to drain the water right out of this thing, clean all the leaves out. You notice none of the trees have leaves yet around here because it's too cold still. Freezes almost every night. I'm going to drain all the water out of this thing in the next few days, and get my shop vac in here, clean up all the dead leaves and stuff, and clean it right out. It'll take me a whole day to do that, I'm sure. Okay, here's my pump that I was using last year to run the filter and waterfall. I'm going to drain this pond. Okay, this is what it looks like at the bottom of the first barrel. Those 2 lines are coming in from the bottom drains of the pond. They're about 4 feet deep. And you see they're not flowing any water right now. And the odd thing is, the pond is full of water. So we still got ice. It's May 1st today. And there's still ice blocking the flow of the water right now. So I'm going to, next step would be to take a garden hose, hook it up to my outside tap. And luckily on the outside taps I got warm water installed when I built the house there, so so I can use a warm water garden hose and just thaw it out. As you can see the bottom drain there. Okay, I'm gonna go get on the garden hose detail here. So just like I said, I got warm water outside taps for my house here. I just have to hook my garden hose up to the center and turn on the water to the temperature I want by mixing them. And it's kind of a handy feature if you want to pressure wash or something. So there we have our garden hose is pumping warm water into the bottom drain to try to thaw out the ice that's down there. So now that I got the line all thawed out, of course the pond water is a little bit higher than what it normally is, and this is why I designed it like this. It's all flowing over on the overflow, so if it ever rains too much or whatever, we'll automatically lose water here instead of over in the pond. That's how that works. Back in the first barrel, and we're on draining duty. There's a lot of debris in here. I put a screen in the bottom drain so that none of the leaves will go to the pump. This is the top skimmer, or my other bottom drain. I usually use it as a top skimmer. It might be frozen too, I have no idea. Well, we'll let that drain. The pond's draining. I walk around and I'll look for things like this. I can't remember what this plant is called. But it is one tough it's a tough plant. It handles our winters, and it doesn't even have to be in water. I threw this in the rocks and I drained the pond in the fall. Like, this is all this winter's runoff for all this water, and this fella survives. He's amazing. It's a local plant that we find in a lot of the wild ponds in the area. It's pretty cool. Next fall I'll show you what it looks like when it grows up. Like I was saying, while I was draining, I'm looking around for little treasures like this. Oh, that's another one of those plants I was talking about. Get him out of here and put him in a safe place. And there's more of them there. Yeah. So now we're drained down to about a foot of water is gone. And you can see this side over here is the shallow end after the waterfall, and it gets deeper and deeper as it goes to the bottom drains. Bottom drain being the white piece in the middle of the screen over there. And usually I have it covered with rocks with no screen on it. Right now there's a screen on it because it's draining and I don't want no leaves to get to the pump. So and this is my that's my top skimmer. That's the water level usually is at the top of that orange piece. Orange piece is usually not on there. And plants all grow in the shelf that you can see now very easily because the water is lower than the shelf. That's where I plant all the plants so the koi can't eat them. All the rocks in the middle down here in the bottom, that's I surround the 5-gallon pails holding lily pads. I brace the lily pad pails with the rocks so that they can't move. Look at that her drain. What a mess this is, eh? It'll look good though. I'll cut myself loose with a shop vac in here, and in a matter of about 2 or 3 hours it'll all be cleaned right up here. But I gotta let it drain first. It's getting closer. Shallow end is pretty much drained. The far bottom drain is oh, there's only about another 4 inches left and she's done. What a mess, eh? Every spring is like that though. It's not a big deal. Just a bit of work. Well worth it. So now that it's empty and the leaves are taken out of here, I'm going to, first thing I'll do is put this great big rock over top of the bottom drain so that the fish can't get into it, but just block it up with these little rocks. Just put about maybe 1 in each corner or 2 in each corner just to lift it off of there, and set it right over top the center of the bottom drain, and then you'll never be able to see it. I'll put some lily pad pots on top of that, block it up so that it's the right height for my water, as you'll see later on, and the fish won't be able to get into the bottom drain, but everything else will. The bottom drain is in the center of this big rock, and all water will have no trouble getting underneath on the sides. Fish won't fit. The next thing I like to do is clean out the plumbing for the skimmer. I'll put up pipes that are way too long here, and I'll fill them up with water on both ends. This end and over in the sump end where the barrel is, and I'll fill it right up with water, and then I'll take the other end off really quickly and let the water flush right through. It'll be, yeah, it works really well. This is where I keep all my lily pads and stuff for the winter, and hopefully they're okay. I haven't even looked at them since last September, so I'll take them out. I put some anti molding powder on them. Should be good, hopefully.
You see the plastic off of this one. Hopefully it all look like that. That's exactly what you want to happen here. All that white stuff is the anti-mold powder.
Okay, here's how I do my lily pads. I put a level on a 2x4 to the top skimmer. That's the water level. I just make sure that the 2x4 is not level and it has to go up a little bit in order to be level on the lily pad side, and I do that with all of my lily pads just to make sure that they're underwater. And the closer to the surface the better, because then the koi can't kill them. That's what I found anyways. Well, only got about another 10 more to go here, 10 more pots of lily pads. Okay, there we have it. Our lily pads are all in place. They're just a little bit below the water line so the fish can't kill them. And I'm filling up the pond. And the next step after this, after the pond is full, start working on the filter system. This will take a few hours to fill up. So there we have it. The pond is full of water now, right up to the top. All these lily pads are underwater. They'll grow like crazy once it starts warming up. A couple other plants in here besides lily pads. Lots more plants to come in here yet, but it's a little bit early. Still risk of frost at night. Lily pads can't handle it since they're mostly under the water. So next step would be to work on my filter system. We'll get on that next. Okay, I'm going to apologize if the wind is bad. It's windy this last few days around here. Anyways, here's how it's going to work. The water comes into this first barrel underground, into the two drains. One's a top skimmer and one's a bottom drain. And it comes in and it goes across to the pump barrel. The pump is in the bottom of this, and there's also on top of the pump there's the Metalomats, and they're the coarse ones. I got a black one and a green one, the two coarse ones. They're on top of it, so all the leaves and the big debris all get caught there. And then after it goes through that and gets to the pump pumps it up to here, and I can control how much goes through my UV light. UV light is down on this one, and how much goes to the actual filter from here, the biological filter. Anything going through to the biological side doesn't go to the UV. So I can control how much I want to go through each one with these two valves. And once it gets in here, here's what it looks inside. There's a 90 degree or 45 degree, and it makes it so that the water swirls around and around and around, moving all these big K3 and bio balls and stuff. They're going to be underneath these mats. These Metalomats are sitting on top of them. Hard to see with the sun here, but these Metalomats just are cut just the right size for the barrel. And I put the coarse one on top, the coarse one on the bottom, and the fine one on top. And so the water has to flow through them to go to the next stage of the barrels. So I'm going to put those in now. Give me a second. So the water underneath this is circulating, and all those K3 bio balls and stuff are all scraping on the bottom of this, grinding up any debris that's caught on the bottom of the matting into finer particles to make it through this. So once it gets through this, it flows into this pipe, which goes over to the next barrel. Yeah, the wind is awful, I'm sorry about that. We go into the next barrel. It's the bottom pipe for the inflow. There's nothing else in here except for K3, and the water comes in at the bottom, and I got it so it goes to the very bottom and curves upwards. So the water coming in here creates a volcano effect. Anybody that's familiar with K1 knows that it kind of is very buoyant and wants to float. So especially aged K1 is just a little bit lighter than water, so it just barely floats. So what happens is with this volcano effect, you get all circulation of the K1, and you don't need to pump air into this because it'll circulate just with the water flow, the volcano type water flow. Another thing that I've done differently than the Whitey's design is I pointed my outspout downwards. So this is the out for it, and what happens is, since it's pointed downwards and it goes up to get out, the next chamber actually creates a vacuum and starts a siphon, so that I could use a very large pump
to pump water through this, because it'll just go faster through here because it'll start siphoning. It actually works pretty good. In order to get it started, I had to extend the barrel up a little bit higher. That's what this extra piece is here, just so that at the first startup, the water actually rises right up to about here. At least with my old pump, anyway. I got a new pump this year, so we'll see what happens. But once the water gets up to here, it's high enough to create that siphon action I was talking about, and it'll go to the next barrel faster. That brings us to going to our last barrel. Goes into the last barrel, same idea as the middle barrel. Goes to the bottom, points upward, creates that volcano effect, and the outspout to the waterfall is pointed downwards, so we get the same siphon action, so we can go very quickly with water here. And this pipe coming down here, right here, this is from my UV light. Remember earlier we branched off, and so all my UV light pours into this last biological filter as well, so that the bacteria can eat up anything that got killed by the UV light. So that's it. Let's try her out. New pump. Let's go. A nice day today. I'm just going to show you guys this filter working. I got everything working. I don't have the plants in the pond yet. I don't have the fish in the pond yet. It's May long weekend starting today. It's Friday. And we're gonna put the fish in next week, during the week, all the plants, everything. It's gonna be a busy week for me next week. So anyway, I'll show you this filter working. Everything's working great now. I'll show you how it works. Okay, everything is hooked up and running. UV light is installed. Goes into that last barrel. And this is the flow that we get. As you can see, the out pipe is above the water level, so we're siphoning. And same on this other side. Okay, it'll get over there. Like that. Wait a second. Here. Last barrel. K1 circulation is very good. No air being added in any of these barrels. The out pipe, 3 inch going to the waterfall is at least 5 or 6 inches above the water level. So we got a full siphon going on there. This is the water moving faster with a bigger pump. And what else we got going on here? We got a lot of leaves this time of year. Spring first start up, I'll have to clean this. That's the maintenance for this setup, is I take out the filters, Metalomats. There's 2 in here and 2 in this first barrel. You can see them. And that's the maintenance, is to take them out once in a while and pressure wash them. Usually it's about once a month, but this first startup, I think we better do it in a week, because we got a lot of leaves that came off of the trees, and it was, we had a windy day the other day, and it blew it right into the pond, and this is where it all collects. So there's actually, you see a few of them. Hard to see at the bottom where the Metalomat is, it's too much glare. But the Metalomat is just full of leaves right now. So anyway, that's how she runs. My surface skimmer. I spent a lot of time thinking about how to make this thing work right. The water level has to be exactly the right level in order for this thing to actually take and clean the surface of the water off, and this thing constantly does that. I got her figured out pretty good, I think. As you can see, the things are falling in there left and right, center. That big leaf right over there in the middle of the screen is getting up in there in no time flat. Everything ends up in there, it's surfacing. Everything. You see those few old dead leaves. Everything ends up to the filter. And there's a reason for that. I'll show you why. I'm going to try something here. I'm not sure if it's going to work, and I might wreck my phone. My wife will kill me if I wreck my phone, but we're going to try an underwater shot while I'm talking to you. Not sure if this is going to work. There's going to be 2 pipes under there and under the water. If you can't hear me later, I'll better say it now. There's 2 pipes under the water coming from the pond. One of them is just a typical bottom drain, and the other one's a skimmer. The one with the air bubbles is the skimmer, and this is what I call an airlift. I'm pumping air into the bottom elbow of that far pipe so that it's actually pulling the water through, so the skimmer, anything caught in the skimmer gets pulled through and won't stay in the skimmer over there. It'll actually pull big leaves that want to float. They'll actually won't be able to float. They'll come right to this filter and get caught into that Metalomat, because that's something else I'll show you when I go underwater here. There's a pipe going from one barrel to the other, where this is just the water level barrel, and the other one's the filter barrel. The filter and pump barrel, actually, the other one. So here we go. Let's try this. Hopefully you can hear me. We're gonna go. Yes, okay. If you can hear me, you can see the bubbles being pumped up there. That's coming from the skimmer, and it flows up. Anything that goes into the skimmer gets drawn through there and goes over to the next barrel. And also, there's my bottom drain. And look at that. Look at the earthworms that got sucked into this thing. Holy, that is free food. We're gonna put that in with the fish later. Man, that is something. Those are earthworms that actually got caught in my filter system. That is something. Wow, that's cool. Okay, phone's still working. Right on. These phones are cool. Okay, that's the issue that you always have with skimmers. Debris gets caught in it. I figured out how to stop that. I'll show you what I did. A black pipe coming from the filter system is coming from something I call a tide maker. So what happens is every half an hour it'll kick in and dump in about 100 gallons of water into the pond. Oh, maybe not quite that much. 80 gallons. And it raises the pond level an inch and pushes all these leaves into the skimmer, and then starts all over again, and every half hour it slowly drains and then fills back up again, so the skimmer always keeps clear. It's a tide maker. Every half hour it dumps all of its contents in that pipe into the pond beside the waterfall, and here's how that works. There's a timer, electric timer switch, so you can see every second nub is pushed in for the every half hour. It'll change whether it's on or off. Right now it's on, which is running this little air pump, aquarium air pump, and the hose from that goes over in here into the bottom of this pipe. And so right now it's pumping air into this chamber, and that holds the water back from flowing. So right now the water level is higher than the out pipe, and there's an air pocket in here stopping it from flowing. But once this timer quits pumping air, and also two things have to happen: the timer has to quit pumping air into here, and also the water level has to be high enough to push this air pocket through. The entire it'll create a siphon once it starts flowing, and then the whole entire contents right up to the bottom of the yellow filter there, yellow screen, right up to there, right down to there. It'll drain right out into the pond, which is about 80-90 gallons, I guess. This is just barley straw to help control algae. I'll show you what happens when it goes when this thing goes. Just as an experiment, I put this piece of wood in there, and you can see the water level is just below the 9, and the tide is out. And the tide being out, I mean, the leaves are all caught in this skimmer right now, and the water level is as low as it'll go. And it looks like we have a tide just starting here. This is every half an hour this happens. Let's go to the tide maker. This is the tide maker. It's as full as it gets, pretty much. And there's still air being pumped into there, and that's what's stopping the water from going. So I'm going to do a manual shut off here. I'm going to turn this until the power goes out. Every half hour it does this on its own, but I'm going to start it early. And now we're going to create a siphon here. The water is going to start flowing through that pipe now and push the air pocket that's in there through, and then we'll create a big siphon. So this is going to dump fairly quickly. You know, this is it's not a real fast process. It only needs to happen every half an hour anyway. So as you can see, the water is flowing, and it will flow more and more vigorously every few seconds. It'll just keep, until that pipe is really flowing here. And this water level is going to raise. I'm going to find out what it's going to raise to. I never ever did find out. It looks like it's getting closer to the 9 now. Pipe is flowing more. We almost have full tide coming in. There it is. The pipe leans down, and here we go. We got the tide maker is dumping its entire contents into the pond now. and this water level is going to raise. And these leaves are going to get pushed in, and they're going to go to the filter. This is why this thing is so maintenance free. The water level is going to raise enough that all these leaves will get pushed in and they'll all end up in the filter. And this happens every half an hour to keep everything clean and clear. Which is such a neat invention of mine. You can see it's still dumping in here. Water is still rising. There they go. Tide maker is reset. Everything went in and is gone. Gone to the filter. Tide maker is still going. So it could be a pretty big thing caught in there and it'll push it in. Let's go back over here and have a look at the tide maker. Yeah, she's actually only half empty. So the tide is going to go up a bit more yet. And this will drain right down to the yellow piece there. And this is where the water comes from to fill it. It comes from the filter. And the UV light actually dumps one of its. It's got 4 different things that dump in here, and one of them go into here. So this is filled by that, and every half an hour it dumps into the pond. Okay, a couple of minutes went by. I just stopped the video to save a little time and battery on my phone, and you'll see that this tide maker is still draining, and it's just about to break siphon now. You'll hear it. So what's happening now is this air pocket is getting filled back up. Sometimes you have trouble breaking the siphon. And when the power comes back on to this little air pump, well, as soon as that comes back on, it'll break the siphon just by pumping air into there. Stick. And we are right at the 8 mark now, which is just over an inch of water added to this pond level. And the water skimmer got a little bit too much water to work properly, but enough water to push anything that was caught in there. It's still working. But as this water level slowly drains down, the skimmer will work even better. That's about it for that. Start here and go backwards. Here's what I call my tide maker. That's my barley straw that's going to rot in the sun and create the chemical that stops the algae from going out of control. This is the last barrel, the K1 barrel, it's K1 circulated, and I have absolutely no air being pumped into this barrel. It's all naturally circulating just by the way I got the pipe pointed. As you can see, the outflow on the far side is the elbow pointing down, and the outflow is lower than the water level because there's a siphon going on here. Siphons, all the air is out of this pipe. So it siphons into the waterfall. I'm sure you can see it over there. You can't, I'm sorry. It siphons into the waterfall. And from there, it flows from this way. Same thing going on here. There's another siphon going on here. So you can see this. I bet you that's awkward. Give me a second here. Okay, yeah, there's another outflow pipe that's higher than the water level. There's no air being pumped into this one either. It's just the angle that the water's coming in. It's making this this K1 circulate properly. And then from there, yeah, we're going backwards. So I guess to there is this other first barrel, which is a Metalamat gray and blue. Metallamats are in here, and also some K3 underneath them, circulating, chopping up particles of leaves or whatever else gets caught in here. Maybe you can hear if you listen. There's a crunchy noise. It's all those K3s circulating underneath the Metallomat, crunching against it, grinding up particles of debris as it lets it go through this. And I gotta wash these Metallomats probably once every couple weeks. I do it. Probably only have to do it every 3 weeks. And that's it. That's that. Comes from here. Actually goes through my UV light. Yep, that's my UV light, my 36 watt UV light, which dumps into the last barrel on top. And also part of it goes into the tide maker. And this is the tea that goes from the pump, either to the UV or to the filter. Most of it goes into the filter, just the way the plumbing is. I can control how much goes to what, but wide open seems to work best. A check valve here so that nothing can go back to the not going to go back to the first barrel, the underground barrel, if the power goes out. And here's the pump barrel. I don't know if you can see it, but there's some more Metallomats here, 2 Metallomats, the black and the green, the 2 coarse ones, and all the leaves and stuff have to try to get through that to get to my pump. So I've got to clean that one every 3 weeks as well. And here's the very first barrel that comes from the pond. This is my water control barrel, where I control water level in all aspects. Where there's too much, it'll overflow there, and it'll flow out this little trough I made into the grass downhill. And if there's not enough water, this valve here, if it's too low, so evaporation is automatically compensated for. And as you can see, all the debris, this is like stupid things coming off the trees, but my filter system takes it out right away. So, you know, I gotta clean that once in a while. This time of year is bad. No fish in there yet anyways, but you know, every couple of weeks I'll just clean everything out here, just so it doesn't rot in the water. That's that. Underground plumbing goes from the pond.